show with a couple of people, and I watched some of that, and then I saw you at the beach with your friend,
Mm.
the dog, and then it's so weird how things happen because I can hardly watch anything for an extended period of time, but I happened to come across a brand new video of this.
Oh,
We got a we got a
we've got a
connection.
glitch. Yeah, you're back. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm running on fumes over here. It looks like connection's really low. But it was this lady, and I've seen her husband's stuff on Project Camelot.
Hmm.
Mark Stevens, I think he's been in prison for 36 years. His father was in deep secret space. I mean, right in the front lines of it. He was as a little kid. He was one of those that was kind of brought up in it. Anyway, you know, so his wife was, I'd never seen her before. She was speaking at a conference. It was a 1 hour speech, but in this she had pictures, some were hand drawn, and she was just talking about her father-in-law and her husband's time there, and I'd never seen this before, and they were showing all different types of species
Mm.
that had attended these conferences, and some were
Mm.
not humanoid. Some looked like clouds. Some looked like one looked like a lobster. I mean, it was just mind blowing. And so I'm looking at, and it had my attention. So I thought, well, there's a reason I'm watching this. Give me some more context to figure
Mm.
my own stuff out. But I just started thinking about the reality, the physical reality of if this stream of information is true and so on. And of course, being open to that. But it just seems very credible because I know enough about, and just taking that into context, and then like knowing people like you that have had experiences
Mm.
at a very deep level, and like how do we fit in, and where does this all, what does this mean, does it change anything, going through all that stuff, and remembering one of the great takeaways that I've ever had on the show when you basically question, what about my emotional balance in terms of like what's being what I'm facilitating here as a human. I don't know. It just gave me this whole kind of
Mm.
download thing, and and then I just realized through the stories that they're all just like us. Yeah,
Mm.
they all have the same thing. And at the very end of the show, she read a quote from one of the species that was kind of Zen-like,
Mm.
and it was so appropriate because at the end, and it was such a beautiful. I'm gonna have to go back and like transcribe it and write it down. But it just basically was this wisdom that
Mm.
could have been written by Lao Tzu, or it
Yeah.
was just, it was beyond that, like Jesus, like, and it
Mm.
was, you could tell it was from a galactic, intergalactic type of perspective. But yeah, now I know why, because I have an alien on the inside. So you're in Melbourne, or are you in Sydney?
Now I'm in Melbourne. Yeah.
You're in Melbourne.
Yeah.
So what's going on with you? I saw you did a show. So you, because you hadn't done one in a while, I don't think. You were doing
No.
a bunch, and then yeah, like
Yeah.
what's been going on? Like you've got such a broad perspective, like with the connections that you have, both
Hmm.
in this environment as well as other environments. Not to mention Melbourne being the hot point that it's been for the last 2 years. It's good to see you though.
It's always good to see you, Todd. It's always good to see you, and thank you for inviting me back on. I love being here, and today's a bit of a special day, and I want to say happy birthday to Morgan. Um,
Okay,
in
you
Australia.
said it. See, I can't say it because she doesn't like all that attention.
Oh, doesn't she? Oh,
People,
sorry.
people. But you did it, so now I got to say it. I got to say it. I have I don't know about everybody else, but my heart has been expanding, expanding, expanding. I can't really. I guess it always is, but we have these fluctuations, and where you got to put some focus on shadows or zero pointing, or but it's just been expanding every time I look at her. I was just talking to her because I
Oh,
said to her, because when I woke up today, I just was laying in bed. I'm like, I'm gonna sing her happy birthday. So I sang her happy birthday, and then we were talking, and after this last show, and I was like, God, I can't even look at myself in the mirror today. And I looked horrible. And she's like, I know. I said, oh my God. No, but that's the funny part. But yeah, and I just she goes, well, that, what do you want me to do? Tell you that that you look great? I'm like, no, keep telling me the truth because I love it,
Yeah,
And
right.
then she goes, yeah, and I wake up and you tell me, I say the same thing, and then you tell me, no, you look beautiful, and the thing is, I actually mean it. I mean, there's just something about this heart expansion that's now
Mm,
um,
mm,
landed on your birthday and her birthday. Happy birthday! And
thank you. Mm.
I don't know, but just I think about, I don't know, just I fucking love her, man. I mean, it's just like, what do you do? I mean, it's just like, this is awesome. Is this oneness? Two
Mm, mm,
people that, I love myself very much. I mean, that's, and then you have it with someone else, and now it's growing. I love
mm,
you. I mean, the people here. I mean, I don't know.
mm.
I'm getting
I,
real soft
I
and real vulnerable, real fast.
I couldn't agree with you more, because this morning getting ready and, a lot of stuff happening, and I just had this wave hit me, and I'm just in tears in the car in peak hour, school traffic, and I'm just sobbing, overwhelmed with the emotion of how much love I feel for everything. And I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, what's going on? I need to hold it together because I don't want to cry on your show again.
Shit, I'm gonna cry. I was just telling my friend on the previous show, I was like, I feel so vulnerable.
Mm,
It's weird. It's weird.
mm,
Like I don't really struggle so much. I don't want to go on, and I have that program running. It's more like you have to do it, and I don't know. It's weird. Like these shows are so activating,
mm,
and it's weird. It's just multidimensional, but it's I don't know how to explain it. It's like multiple streams even,
yeah,
but the
yeah.
heart just keeps expanding. I'm getting very soft, and I guess that's
There's this
okay.
constant influx of just this pure oneness or love vibration that has been, from my observation, and I've had so many downloads, Todd, because I think the last time we spoke, I was in this like nothingness for a really long time, and it was very human, and it was very just kind of boring and mundane,
Mm,
and then the acceptance that comes with that, of
yeah,
course, and
yeah,
understanding it. But I think, I don't know, it kind of changed around the end of the November
okay.
sometime, maybe, I don't
November.
know. Yeah, and then I remember 12/12, I was sitting just weeping with just this love, and since then there's been incrementally so much heart expansion of beauty and the awe of what is taking place on this planet right now and within us and our connections and
Yeah,
the people, and uh, to I guess to encapsulate it as best I can, and not to take away from people's reality, because I know that there are a lot of people that are still really struggling, and
yeah,
if you look through a particular lens on the world scale right now, it doesn't look great, or whatever. But from my own vantage point, and from the vantage point obviously of you and a lot of other people who are kind of, let's say, in the same frequency or timeline, whatever, there is just this awe in the beauty of, I guess, what we always knew was coming, and we've had tastes of it, over the years, and we're like, oh, I don't know about you, I can only speak for me, but I'm like, oh, we're here, we did it, and then crash, or and this
yes,
like,
yes, yes,
but
yes,
now it's this more subtle of like experiencing the magic
yeah,
and the love, and just, yeah, there's just so much beauty.
yeah. Somebody was on 2 days ago. I can't remember people. I just remember the energy, and but it was a lady, it was a sister, and she was saying, I don't know how she put it because I can't remember it. It was perfect, but it was basically like it's not it's not like stopping anymore. It
No.
just keeps going. Like
Mm,
it's not, the shoe's not dropping, right?
mm,
It's actually not, you know what I mean?
mhm.
And the way she said it,
Yes.
um, yeah, and like, even like in reflection of that show I was telling you about, I was like, man, because they give you a little background on each one of them and where they're from and how it works and all that
Mm.
in their own experience. And I was like, no, I'd rather be a human. I want to be like, this is too cool. You could
Mm,
tell that there was a much broader range of, you know,
mm,
even though we might not be as evolved, and some of them were like Zen-like, and they were just like mad. The mantids were one of the, you know, very intelligent ones, and they were really, really like going into detail about them. But and that, obviously they have a really broad range, a bigger perspective. But in terms of like feeling stuff and experiencing stuff,
mm,
this is the widest range to me,
mhm, mhm, mhm.
which
Yeah,
comes with a few bumps and bruises.
doesn't
Have
it?
you have you Yeah, so, you know, we talked about this on the show, like, you're kinda on the same timeline. It was like 10-10, something went down,
Yeah.
11-11, 12-12, and the way it kind of flowed to me was, like, it would come on those 10, 11, 12 days, then you would kinda go into this integration, and all of a sudden, everything would just go like somebody lit a stick of dynamite, and it would just explode. And like the first month, you're like totally freaking out. In November, you're a little more calmer. December was pretty cool, and you're like, oh, I think we're out of this. And then January, it kind of came back, but in a different way. And then February was like all of that in one,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, that's a really good,
It was like
yeah.
brrr, it was like we went into the spin cycle, and the next thing you know, we were dry, and you're like, what the fuck just happened, right? And then this month has been this heart thing.
Mm, mm.
And to what you were saying, that's the only thing I wanted to say. I'm sorry, I'm really lit. And
Good.
but is the specialness, like, you always think, okay, we're afraid of our own power, or we're going to have these abilities, or you know, these other things that are would be so new to us, and to our natural nature. It's part of us, nature.
Mm,
But like the specialness of
mm,
what we're doing is hitting me.
mm,
And I
mm,
think I kind of feel into what you're saying in that gratitude, or tears of gratitude, or this heart thing, or always wanting to look at Morgan. I mean, it's like, whoa, this is like everything is just
mm,
whatever that is. I think
mm.
it's this mother energy,
Yeah.
this really powerful, like, you know, it's game time kind of thing.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
You know?
And I can't help but to think that it's creating a balance in, taking in like the larger perspective
Mm,
in the collective. It's those of us that are going through and experiencing this. It's creating a balance in the polarities and kind of bringing through what we need, or
yeah,
what Gaia needs, to then spread out, for humanity.
yeah,
Um, but I love what you said, because that was part of my reflection, and my tears this morning was every time I've got to this point where I feel very in alignment, everything's falling into place, and you're just completely overwhelmed by how magical things are and the synchronicities. There's always been this feeling just lingering in the back of like, yeah, but when's the other shoe going
yeah,
to drop? Or,
yeah,
there's always been that kind of overarching kind of knowing, or whatever it is, that it's not going to be permanent. Like, it's, shit's going to hit the fan again, and there's going to be another deep dive. I can honestly say that I don't feel that in the same way. It's not to, who knows what's
yeah,
going to happen tomorrow. But I think how I processed or internalized it this morning was, whatever happens, it's going to be okay.
yeah,
It's this ultimate surrender to the flow of the unfolding,
yeah,
because of the work that we've done to get to that point.
yeah,
I believe,
yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Almost like the fuel for the whole change are these wholesale changes we've made from the soul in our human,
Mm,
in reverence to our human, in reverence to it all, which ultimately
mm,
is having the same appreciation for the universe as you do yourself. and that's like the fuel
Mm.
for what's happening, or matching what's happening, or is what's happening on the earth. And then after watching that thing last night and seeing all the different stories of all the different species, and in general, they're doing the same thing we're doing, which is trying to control the environment, establishing ownership. It's still the same game. So to consider that those, which even if you look at the Galactic Federation channelings of some people, they talk about how there was not a full consensus of bringing the humans up to their level, or whatever you want to call it, or bringing them into the Federation. But when you because there was an element of that in this narrative, these narratives, as this lady was talking about, but so the humans kind of thought of as as a redheaded stepchild or something. But but it's actually, what do we have that they don't have? We have extreme emotion, which is extreme energy, like a wild Mustang, that we've learned to
Cultivate and manifest.
Embrace and own and love, and yes, cultivate and alchemize and create. And this is this was all the drudgery, and then this is where the gold is. Like, where's the shadow? Where's the shadow? Show me where the shadow is.
I think that's one of the greatest misconceptions, is that we are less than in human form, because and there's many schools of thought around that, and I've heard a lot of people speak about that, but it's like, we do have a very uniqueness about us. And yes, when we're in our unconscious state, you can look at a human being and think, what? But to come through and really to embody, the full essence into the human, I truly believe that we have the capacity to do, and we are, and we're witnessing and we're experiencing it. And then there are some of us that we have, I think all of us, we have galactic, codes and DNA.
Yes.
So we're like this melting, mixing pot, of different components, but in the human form, in the physical form. And that's precious.
I know. And this is interesting. This lady from Lyra, they were like 12 Lyran types of, or families or whatever, that were represented. And this guy met one of them, and she was like a cosmic archaeologist, literally. And she was on the earth for this conference. And while she was there, she went to different places where her lineage had been. And they were trying to test and date things, and the reason is because there was several different species or star systems that were arguing over who the parent of or humans was. And you know what the outcome was? That they couldn't prove, that they actually proved that none of them created the humans, none of them. But what they did do was, and they did it from a benevolent standpoint, and also, I guess, some agendas, they went in with the DNA, and they went in with the hybridization and all that stuff. But that the root itself was, I guess, in goddess creation.
That resonates deeply.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, it's like a new specialness to what we're doing, and it's just like, I don't know. It's like it's all of a sudden it's in the oxygen or something. I don't know. Have you had any encounters during this time? This last?
Yeah, I have.
You have?
I felt like I got switched off for a long time. And of course, when that happens, you come back stronger and more connected. But yeah, I've had quite a few experiences and visitations. Yeah. More just in energy form or dream space. I mean, I know I've been out deep in space off and on for a couple of months now. And probably some of my encounters haven't been the most pleasant. I'll be honest. There's the mixed bag of different beings that I come in contact with, but I think the difference is that I just see it all as, I was going to say as one, which is probably accurate, but it's like there's not that, oh, that's bad, that's good. It's just like, oh, well, that one kind of has an energy that doesn't gel well with me and
Right.
potentially an agenda, and we'll just have a chat or whatever and work out why it's coming into my space in this moment. And then there's the other ones that you feel the overwhelming sense of love and upliftment type energies, but the veil's been very, very thin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that you were, I don't know how you worded that, you were taken out, kind of out of your body, maybe? Like, it sounds like a couple of months or something, but do you feel like was that because you were doing a lot of work outside of the human thing,
Yeah.
right? That resonates,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
even in my, cohabitation, my cosmic new age cohabitation with Morgan right now. We both could probably, and I haven't, asked her, but I mean, like, just there's just been these periods of, like, I don't know, I don't want to say emptiness, because you can still feel everything happening, and you might have the moments of gratitude and this and that, but it feels like you're out of your body. Do you think it's because we've been out doing?
100%. Yeah, I have this conversation quite often. I'm so glad I have this vantage point now, because if I look back in the earlier part of my life, I would have gone, oh, I was depressed and I was in a
Okay.
funk and I couldn't, there was nothing I could do that would get me, all the things to do. You change your diet, you exit, you do all those things, right? There was nothing I could do. And then one day I wake up like a switch and I'm like, I'm back,
How long ago was that?
The most recent one?
Like 2 days ago?
Oh, I reckon it was a good portion of last year, off and on.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
the longest stint, I reckon, probably went for about 3 months, if I'm
Yeah.
honest.
Okay.
2 or 3 months, but that coincided too with our really harsh lockdowns.
Yeah. Yes.
So, but I now understand that when that emptiness feeling, just feeling like there's so many words, tapped out, not here, but emptiness is probably a good
Yeah,
way
like
to
it's almost like Groundhog Day too.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like same day,
Mhm.
bigger stick to stir it with.
And it's like I know at that point that more of my energy and consciousness is elsewhere.
Is elsewhere. Okay.
Is elsewhere, and that's the reason for that. And there's a level of acceptance that I've come with,
Yeah.
accepting that. And sometimes I have messages or dream space or just a subtle awareness of where some of my consciousness may be and what it's doing. And sometimes I'm completely unaware. And you've got to be okay with both, right? Especially being someone like me that always wants to know everything.
Me too. I was asking last night. I said, please let me. I was in the same place. I was like, okay, I know I'm busy. What's going on out there? I was trying to connect to it, and I heard you can't. You can't. Yeah,
You don't have the clearance, Todd.
It's the same answer. We've been telling you, but it was like you can't. You're like there's a part of your body's consciousness that can't go. It can't handle it. And they just showed me like these different scenes, which was like things that would totally like if a huge creature came through the wall right now and was gonna eat me or whatever. I don't know. Just that it was too much for the human, for the body's consciousness, or I can only speak for my own, but that it's coming, and that's why you get the flashes, and it's all related, but it's still rooted here. So don't forget that. If we don't want to take your attention away, because look what's happened with our downloads and channelings and past life memories over the years. That sometimes that's gotten the better of us. It's gotten the better of our identity and the better of our human.
Yeah, I can attest to that for sure. Yeah.
Look at this. 2 nights ago, Carla Soltero, thank you, on YouTube. 2 nights ago, a voice woke me up and was repeating Federation activation, Federation activation. I just said no. any activation must be approved by me. And I went, ha,
Yeah.
I love it. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's the specialness of the new human experience. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that's what I was going to say. I thought it was, that was awesome. Yeah. So it's a great day. And Morgan Lee and Alisha Brache's birthday. Last year, when this day came, I we have there was a lot of stuff starting to happen for all of us. I mean, it was Morgan's birthday. We've been here at that point like about 8 months in this place, and I just remember having this thing like appeared, like writing appeared, and it was conscious state. And I was hanging out with her, and I think a friend of ours, and it just said it was like it was saying it's the new Earth birthday, like today's day one, and I knew it wasn't my ego because I understood that it had nothing to do, but it has everything to do, right? I mean, that in general it had nothing to do with it being her birthday, your birthday, anyone's birthday. It just came in, and it didn't feel like it was just me, right? It felt like it was a collective thing. And I was remembering that yesterday.
Wow. So technically, then it's birthday number 2. Then 1.
New Earth, yeah, New Earth's 1 year old.
1 year old.
Now we can start walking,
Yeah.
tearing shit off the shelves, and getting the things we shouldn't.
It makes a lot of sense because last year for me was a lot of inaction and a lot of lying on the couch,
Yeah,
going from
even
bed to the couch.
even the last three this period we were talking about since October. Um, yeah, and
I don't know about you, but I have had this massive influx of energy in the last couple of weeks. I don't know if it's just me, but it's like this franticness almost about getting things done. I know, like, I've just gone through like moving house twice in the last, like there's a lot of things that are happening in my personal life, but there's this constant, like, you've got to get this done, you've got to get this done. Like, there's this almost rush to
really,
anchor in and get things organized and set up. And
how long has this been going on?
2-3 weeks, maybe.
2-3 weeks. Okay,
Yeah.
so going back to like the 22nd, right, of February.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Like that was crazy. Now that you can reflect on, the moments of February, because I just see it as one big blob of energy. This is going to wipe me out. But I think it's this, and I don't know of another word to put it. Mother Universe energy, feminine energy. You can call, I see it so much differently than I did even 2-3 weeks ago. But you're seeing it in form.
Mm, mm,
And I'm sitting here going, wow, I do all this research. I look at different things and and like things last night. And you start to think about how big is this? And then there's this mother. And that's what's happening. That's the way I see it. Like, it's like, it's like all of her, dark mother, light, white mother, everything, all that whole abyss type of energy, the unknown. Just trust me. I love you. Feel my heart and jump on the roller coaster. Here we go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that resonates a lot because I guess in some way I've been joking with my friends and they're like, oh, you're nesting, like you just frantically cleaning everything, throwing out stuff and organizing. But this morning while I was getting ready, I had this, this reflection moment in the bathroom. It's always in the bathroom. I have to be around water for my downloads. Kitchen sink or
How many
bathroom.
posts have been written in the bathroom in this community? Probably like 92% or something.
Yeah, right. And it was like, yeah, this divine feminine mother energy that is in being embodied. And I thought to myself, wow, like what a journey, because embracing a feminine energy has been a lifelong struggle for me. Or, not, I don't want to say struggle, but conscious effort, like real conscious effort to kind of move from being in a very masculine energy
Yeah.
and, finding that balance. And it's like what I'm witnessing now with being connected and embodying this energy is that everything flows effortlessly.
Yeah.
There's such it's like a magnetic, and things just coming in and falling into place without any real active sort of masculine oriented, like, I've got to organize this. It's like people come, the right people come, the right things
Right.
come, and it's just pulling it all in, and it's magnificent. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah. It's like being birthed, like it's like being, what is it called? Contractions. I was going to say convulsions,
Okay.
but so imagine like the kid trying to hang on, like, I don't want to go. Well, maybe that's true. Maybe that happened to some of the people.
I'm sure it does.
But yeah, that's why I've always struggled with it too. Like it's something beyond surrender. It's actually just this, I don't know, like a force. But I think about, setting that energy against, let's say, technology, nuclear power, and these things that you find in research of, secret space and how the stars and planets work. And there's this force bigger than that. It's this force that's all of that, right? And all the space in between. Right. And that's what I'm seeing. And I'm thinking, wow, talk about changing things from the root. I mean, how will this look? I think this is going to be more than bells and whistles come online. We can fly through the air and do whatever. It's maybe it has something to do with this new specialness and understanding of what we actually are and what we represent and who we're representing.
Yeah.
And what we're potentially able to do in contribution to the universal family. Balance, more balance.
I'm sure we're making them incredibly proud.
Yeah. Their higher selves, their physical selves, be they manted, well, they probably get a little frustrated with us.
Oh, sure.
Right. What are they? Yeah. How's the do you go out much? I mean, I know a lot of us don't, but I mean, no, you don't. Have you picked up on anything as far as, how do I want to put this? The people's perception of the fuckery.
Fuckery is my favorite word at the moment.
Is it? Well,
It's
that's
the
crazy
only
that's crazy with the rain thing, though. Like the
Oh,
way the rain thing happened, the way it
Mm.
took them 2 weeks and 2 days, because I went back and counted last night because Morgan brought it up. 2
Yeah.
weeks and 2 days for this Scott Morrison to declare emergency.
We call him Scotty from marketing because that's about all he does. So he's a
Like,
marketing.
it's weird. It's like these people, you see comments in these posts, and the people are like, you know what? I mean, you see normal people talking about HARP, or what is it, DARPA, or weather modification,
Yeah,
and how it connected to COVID being phased out, and so on.
And the cloud seeding, they're not even hiding. Like, they're talking about a mainstream
I know.
about the cloud seeding technology. Like, it's in your face.
It's right. It's more in your face every day, right? And the
Yeah.
telepathy is expanding at the same time. So there's just some weird shit going on in terms of, like, forget about trying to figure out what it's going to look like. I mean, I can want to teleport to Australia, to Harvey Bay right now. Oh,
You know what? I have to say, Todd, I'm a little surprised that you're not already here. I'm just going to say that.
I know you told me, and I trust your, and I don't know if it meant the following February, or, I don't really know. I just,
Yeah. I was actually thinking about that dream the other night when I was going off to sleep, because I was like, maybe it was just the dates that were significant, because sometimes with dreams, it can be very, very cryptic, and you've got to look at it from different perspectives. But that dream was so vivid. I think it was like the 17th and 19th of February, and I saw you literally at Brisbane Airport. So,
well, and this is where I'm going a lot, is my own belief systems. And when I got that message from you, because I just know, soul siblings,
Mm, mm,
family, and
mm,
but I would have to say that my inclination would be that it wasn't possible with the circumstances that I'm in within this matrix, but as it exists. So there's this whole. But the interesting thing is that in the last 3 days, I've kind of removed the barrier
mm.
in the energetics, not like, do a magic connotation or anything like that, but actually feeling it in my body. The dog's fine. Uh,
Can you give me 1 second so I can
yeah,
open the door? Otherwise, she's just going to keep
yeah,
banging
yeah.
the door.
Go ahead.
Thanks.
Um, yeah, but anyway, it's changed. Like something's changed in regard to things like this. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be this coming February. But can you
Well,
hear me?
I've been
What?
getting a message pretty strong and consistent that travel will resume um, for people who haven't been able to travel
Yeah,
come April. Um,
April. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And I still feel that that will be the case. Even travel within Australia now, you can do easily without any of the protocols that were in place.
really.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I was wondering that because I heard a friend of mine was going from interstate, and I thought, I
Mhm.
wonder if they got the jab because I wouldn't think they would have, but not
You don't
whatever
even
the
have to
source.
take a test. Don't even
You
have
don't
to
have to take
take.
a test. So this is pretty wild.
Mm,
And I feel the same way ever since Patricia Cutter Robles came on. I had my first conversation with her, I think it was about a year or maybe half a year ago. And yeah, she just said that is including flying interstate.
mm,
But I asked her about borders and passports and so on. And she said, this is part of the natural evolution. The soul's embodying into the human, and the soul has to be able to roam free.
mm,
And I don't
mhm,
know, something just resonated. It wasn't like a wish. It wasn't, oh, wow, she said that, so it must be true. It wasn't like that. It was like, I get this. And I feel the same way. I feel like
mm,
I had to remove myself from the apparent barrier of me being able to leave this country.
mm,
I had to remove
mhm,
that. And I actually went into the physical world and engaged information, live person and research of all this stuff. And then I just went, okay, that's not part of this.
yeah.
This is no longer here. I'm just going to look at, because I've been getting, I we have papers in immigration to get
Mm,
to get her over
mm,
here because that would seem to be the quickest way. But I keep getting, and I'm still behind that. We're behind that 100%. But I
mm,
keep feeling Australia,
mhm,
and a lot of what I'm starting to come to is that a lot of what we're feeling and seeing and think we see and all that signs we get is that we're feeling the alignment. So your dream felt very aligning to me and still does.
mm, mhm.
And yeah, so
And my mind goes into two places when it comes to travel. I do think that things will open up and we'll be able to freely travel, in the next few months. But then it's also that other component of, are we going to be able to just open portals and move through that? Like at the rate
that's
that things are going. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I don't think we really know exactly how that's
I
going to
don't
look.
either. I don't either. And I, obviously we're talking about this experience as an example because a lot of things like this are happening and these thoughts are going through people's minds. And last night, and again, there's no coincidences, there's no mistakes.
Mm,
Why was I taking in the information I was last night and having the experiences I was having? Because they're going to be related to the people that I'm encountering today and so on and so on, right? And I was there, and you know how sometimes when you're going to have a serious awake, when you're consciously awake experience, everything starts to change.
mm,
The
mm,
sound starts changing, the vibe starts changing, vision can change. And that was happening last night.
mm,
And that's kind of where I was at. I
mm,
was calling in all my bodies.
Mm.
I felt him come in, and I said, "Let's go. Let's go to Harvey Bay, right? Let's go find the portals. And I did. And I went to sleep pretty much that way, other than like kind of snuggling the pillow. It was her, which was part of it. But this, I understand, is my motivation, my inspiration for creativity. And it's the same thing that we're all coming into, which is that divine love, frequency, unity, consciousness, oneness, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm like not ruling that out at all.
And I think also the other thing that comes to mind is I know, other couples who are paired up who are, on different continents. And I've always seen that as a strategic play,
Yes.
and there's multiple reasons why. But maybe one of those reasons is like you and Morgan and people who are friends of mine who I know, that will, that desire, that heart, that frequency, that, all that, and that pure just drive to reconnect in physicality can open the potential timelines for these ways that we will move into. But like
Exactly.
you're pushing that or opening that doorway energetically, physically, whatever, to create that as a possibility.
Bingo. Right, bingo. That's what I hear. I hear, and it goes straight from my heart. And I'm just kind of told that's it. It's like two magnets, and then your bodies are aligning with that because they're driving it. And this is galactic. This is higher self. This is whatever, right? But when the human has that love and that belief, which is not a belief, it's I got what's that point where I got this, like we're walking into now, this specialness of what we're doing, and that's it drives everything. I felt that last night. I felt it several times when I tried to before. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. With all this energy, and call it the transformation energy of so many people, call it the rise or the anchoring and expansion of the mother energy. Uh, it's not nuclear. It's not like, it's beyond all that, and it's got the greatest paradoxical polarity example in a dense realm, in a dense body that's just this far from animal, so to speak. All right. And then having all of that incredible sacred wisdom and et cetera, and to come into form in form. Like that's just like, whoa, like that's crazy. But it's at least seems to be available, or a possibility, not a fantasy or a pipe dream.
No, no. And I think as good examples to stretch your consciousness to be able to be open to the possibilities, and then start to then receive or tap into your own understanding, your internal knowing and remembrance. I think, looking at material like you looked at last night, and looking at different things from other species, from other planets and places, and what they're capable of doing, and then embodying that and going, I can do that too.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was so interesting listening to the show last night. I'm going to have to share it.
Yeah.
But
Please
because
do.
there were so many stories within the story, and these two guys were front seat, and of course you got to discern everything for yourself. But the detail of the different perspectives, lifestyles of other species, you could see the polarity. You could see the imbalance. You could see, and I have in dimension. I always say this. Almost everywhere I've gone, I've seen the dance. Sometimes you get into a space with Mother Mary or an angel or something, and you're just like, you're in the 12th dimension, or whatever you want to call the highest dimension, whatever. It's all peace and love, and there's nothing to do. But what happens when you take this situation and the transformation is made, and a part of the cogs in the wheel, so to speak, are the people, and it's all happening. Like, I don't think we know, and I guess we're going to find out.
Probably quite soon.
I think so. I really do. I don't buy into these 2030, 2035s. They don't feel right. Now, it's because I don't want them. I've had that conversation a lot too. Like I know a lot of people have, but it feels very imminent. Feels very
I
imminent.
agree. And you know what? I've had to really internally process, like, I used to get really triggered when people would give these way out time frames, and I
Yeah.
was really like, that was the thing that would make me go explosive from 0 to 100. And it was like, am I being like, but I was like, no, because it doesn't resonate. It's not my reality. Like, it's happening now, and it has been happening, but the way that things are accelerating at this point, you know,
Yeah.
it's I don't know about you, Todd, but I've been reflecting on how the solar flash and the event makes its rounds every so
Yeah.
often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's usually big in October.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's made, apparently, I haven't seen it, but people feed stuff and send stuff to me. Apparently it's making its rounds again. And I had this really quite profound download about that, or around the scenario of it. And I know my perception of it has changed incrementally over the years of, and I really like what came through. I was driving to the beach and with my friend, and it was like me and her were having this telepathic conversation about it while we were beside each other in silence. And it was basically what will trigger, let's say, an influx of massive light that will change. So whether it's that or it's something like that, but it's as a collective overthrowing the victim consciousness as a collective. Enough people. So I see it as like sort of this gray energy that's blanketing Gaia in the old earth,
Yeah.
so to speak,
Yeah.
as the vast majority of the collective. Not probably not a lot of people that are watching this show, but we're all in it. And
Right.
it's like enough people to see the absolute fuckery that's happening, to get outraged, to stand up and go, no more.
Yeah.
It's like there's this uprising energy that overthrows, and it kind of creates this dismantling or dissolving of that energy instantaneously,
Yeah.
because it's reaching a critical mass. And then it's like, as that happens, it's more like more influx of light can then come in, because there has been this buffering blanket that hasn't allowed it enough to seep through.
Yeah.
And whether it happens instantaneously or over time, I mean, who knows? But what came after that was, and I know this is a debatable thing, and so I spent a lot of time thinking about this. And it was like, but what does that mean afterwards? Does that mean that people don't have to do their work? And, you know, what, we've done all this for, you know, other people not to do their work? And, you know,
Mm.
there's this kind of debate going back and
Mm.
forward of what does it mean afterwards? Like, what does it look like afterwards? And what came through to me, and I loved this, it was like, no, people still do their work, but there's not this heaviness that keeps it's not this suppression that is counterproductive in the healing and evolving of each individual being,
Yeah.
of that energy. So it's like
Yeah.
people can do their work and continue to constantly acclimatize to
Yes.
more embodiment without having, you know, the interference and the, you know, all the different components that are counterproductive that we've had to come up against, which has been necessary. It all, you know, it's all
Yeah.
divine.
No. No, I get it. Yeah. I mean, it's
And
yeah. It's like the the big cloud is that you're talking about is victim consciousness.
mm,
So it's
yeah.
a big program. It's a big. They drop it out of planes in the chemtrails. I don't know, you know,
Yeah.
but the thing is, because the patriarchal is a narcissistic template. Nationalism
Mm,
is a narcissistic template. Religion is a
mm,
narcissistic
mm,
template.
mhm, mhm.
Just this whole thing with Ukraine is just. I'm just going to have to just let the filter go, but it's a fucking joke.
It really
because it's not what's presented.
Mm-mm.
It's obvious that everyone's presenting what they want to present.
Mhm.
And who the fuck are we to tell anyone when we're engaged right now in 6 countries
Mm.
militarily? It's just not,
Mhm.
I mean, this is a fact, and
Mm.
not to mention many other things. So, but I
Mm.
think what happens is that rising up. Part of that rising up is I don't give a f.
Mm. And
I'm
there's
going to stand up for myself, my family, my relationship, my home, whatever the case is.
mm.
And there is a certain bloodletting, a victim
Mhm.
consciousness that goes away. And the more of it goes away, the narcissistic energy has nothing to play with.
Exactly.
So it's to me, I don't know, it's that force. And many
Mm.
of us have had difficult times and difficult moments
Mm.
when that mother energy, that holy freaking darkness comes in, and
Yes.
it's a beyond surrender thing.
Mm.
You're good. You're good.
Mm.
You know.
Mm. Mm.
So
Mm.
I don't know, but I
Mhm.
think you're right. To say I hadn't thought about that. Like, what happens now? Do we have to do shadow work? I don't
Mm.
know. How does that all work? And does it happen here? I mean, is part of the program thinking our limiting program being that we can only think we can be here on Earth, that there is gravity? I don't know. It just gets very like,
I think I've resigned, or not resigned, wrong word. I've surrendered into everyone will experience their own aspect of the reality
yeah,
that they're meant to. And a lot will be synced, like Soul Fam,
yeah,
will probably have a very similar experience as we move through that than other people will. But I think the possibilities are endless now and on the other side of if or when something like that does occur.
yeah,
Um, I've had a lot of dreams for many years about, you know, Solar Flash event and beyond a new Earth. And I truly believe that the vast majority of them are prophetic.
yeah.
And that makes me excited because, in one of the dreams, my dog was teleporting in and out of my car, you know.
And see, and at a minimum, these are collapsed timelines too. So it just means it's better than whatever you saw. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, 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 I'd agree with that.
But yeah, that would be wild.
Well, that's a bit dangerous because one of my dogs is a runner, something like that. I could
Yeah,
never contain her.
like you go to the beach and like you forgot to bring the dog biscuits, and the dog just teleports back to the house, picks up the biscuits, and comes back.
But yeah, I think and I think it does open up for being able to travel interdimensionally, to other parts of this world and
Yeah,
beyond,
yeah,
if you choose to, and that's your path.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And I could see it where I don't know. I think it. I don't know. It's everything lends itself, or to our benefit. The more we focus on ourselves, which sounds like we're not focusing on anything else, but there's some type of simultaneous
Mm.
uh, higher alignment with those things outside yourself, particularly those closest to you, soul family, and so on, and all the other stuff that's happening. Obviously, is happening for a reason. Is providing contrast, but I think at the end of the day, it's just, even though it may look like a big jolly green giant, it's just a suggestion that seems to have a material form that is not greater than you.
Mm-mm.
It's not power over you. In fact, you can merge with anything. I wouldn't tell anyone to go do it with everything, but if that's what you want to do, but you can merge with anything and work in terms of transformation
Mhm.
collaboratively. I
I've
mean,
I've noticed in my close connections, there's been a lot of merging. Um,
really,
yeah, yeah, a lot of
wow,
merging in, and I think it's interesting because the merging that has been known and understood for vast majority of people are those in like paired divine connections or whatever that's been. I think the way that I see it is that experience that we share with another is the opening to what is
yeah,
possible for everything, right?
yeah,
Um, and I've been noticing that a lot of us are syncing up and merging. Telepathy's just been, but it's beyond telepathy.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a sharing of information or data through mind. And I'll give you an example I've noticed in the last week. I will be talking to someone, and all of a sudden, I'm craving the food that they just ate unknowingly. And so that's happened like on several occasions where all of a sudden, I'm wanting Indian food or tuna or, random stuff. And then as the conversation progresses, they've either just eaten that or they're about to eat that. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just, it's a funny example, but that's, just one
No,
example.
it's Morgan and I can totally relate to this. Like, there's a lot of you were talking about some of these couples that are geographically planted apart with purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it for her and I has been polarity, which has been the whole thing anyway, and that's what the whole thing is anyway, right? So it's crazy because like it's sweating hot over there, and I'm over here freezing my ass off all the time, and we're always like, but the crazy thing is the weather. She'll have all this rain. All of a sudden, I'll have all this rain. One day she was over there and it was hot. It was cold over here, and something happened. I got all hot, and I came home and turned on the air conditioner in the middle of winter, and she comes home and puts on a jacket, right? Like, so there's these weird things, some other things too. But I mean, yeah, they're not like, let's do this. Let's try to see if we can make this happen. It isn't like that. It's weird. Yeah.
I remember going back almost a year ago now. I think it was sometime in April. I did a session for a client of mine, and all this collective information comes through around couples, positioning, locations, and the strategy around it and what was taking place. I can't remember the specific details, but I remember, and I would have shared this with you around the time I wrote it up. I wrote out the post. I wrote out the information from the session and put it in a post to share it because I thought it was important to share at that time.
Right.
And it was talking about the poles and like I don't know, maybe not a pole shift, but that was the terminology that was given. And I couldn't not think of you and Morgan at that time. You just kept coming into my field. And I'm going to have to go and drag that post up somewhere. I'm going to have to find it when we get off to get the specific details. And then a couple of days later, seeing, was it last year that Morgan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then seeing that she had traveled, and it was like,
I remember that. Yeah.
Because it was something about the North and the South.
Yeah. And yeah, I remember that. And I picked up on a lot of that. Maybe that was part of my download or whatever, but I remember that being back here in the force and getting a lot of that. The magnetics. I even looked up the latitude, longitude, latitude, and there was some numbers that were correlated, But I mean, I don't know. I can feel like, and again, I'm speaking in terms of like how sharing it, because like, how is it coming in for everybody? I can feel a greater collaboration emerging with the galactic field because I've had resistance to it.
Have you?
And absolutely. Well, I question them. I'm just a fucking smartass with them, and I love them and I honor them and I revere them, but I don't allow the power over thing. And so, and I know some of that's my own programming, but as I've been able to, because they're like angelic, that's different. Elemental, that's different.
Okay.
Galactic, I know that there's some type of facilitator aspect, and I know it's me. And there's some physicality merging with the non-physicality, like even like the story I was talking about last night. But I have noticed that there's an alignment between what I felt from as a little kid when I reawoke, this angelic, the essence, is me, that is part of my oversoul. I don't know how to explain it. That now, like, I don't know how to explain it, but like the galactic is all aligning with that. Like, I can see the rhyme and the reason of the purpose. Like, I know, for instance, I came here to anchor divine union. I didn't know that when I came here, but it's now that's one of the things. One is a Soulogy thing, or bringing people together, you know. So there's like, they fit more together now.
Yeah.
You know, there's not like a force or that's in control.
I love that you shared that. One of my reflections is that just observing how, for me, things went from non-galactic to highly galactic to then non, and now it feels like it's coming into a balance place,
Yeah.
and this kind of all-encompassing balance of being human in the physical body, but also integrating all those components and aspects of my more cosmic aspects in there's this integration that's happening. And I think someone was sharing with me, and I kind of resonated with it, that the 222 portal was there was a part of that, was there was a cosmic component of being embodied around that time for those
Yeah.
who
Yeah. Yeah. 222, whatever. The 2 days in February was like that was a hell of a ride. Yeah, that resonates what you're talking about. It feels like strong aspects have been falling, and other ones have. And I don't know how to explain it, but like, I don't know. It's just it just feels like there's more people in more aspects in the room every night, metaphorically speaking, and
yeah.
it's not like, it feels like when we get turned on, it's not that something got put in us, but something opened within us. Some
It's like
code was unlocked. Yeah, it feels like that to me. Feels
all
good
right,
though. No.
I'm going to put it together because I just got it then.
Oh, good.
I brought up the April post about the poles and the counterparts and the coupling. I wonder whether this is what has just come through, is what we've been through in the last 12 months up until that point is a completion of that process of what I was seeing. Because I think a lot of it was about a clearing and a purification and emptying out and then embodying more of this gold frequency. So I know that you and Morgan talk about like the golden child.
Yeah.
So I wonder whether, if it coincides with a completion of that task or mission or phase.
That feels, you know, if you're talking March of last, if you're talking for the last 12 months,
Yeah.
you and Morgan's birthday last year to you and Morgan's birthday right now, that's a pretty good.
So it's like a bringing in full circle, which then would coincide with the other feeling that I've had around being open and free to travel come April. It's like you were stationed there, Morgan was stationed there, everyone else had their places, and it's like you're going to put your boots on, get down and dirty for 12 months, and then once that's complete, then there's this rearranging of freedom of movement.
Yeah.
Once more.
God, that feels right. Yeah. Like it, because the last 12 months, and I'm not just saying this on my personal life, but I don't think we get too many people to disagree, regardless of how it's gone since 2012. Like the last 12 months, to me, it's been like everything is obviously getting bigger and you can see things more clear. And then you get down to this, you know, these doors close. And it's like beyond like, what do you believe in? It gets to a point of what do you want to be? Who do you want to be with? You know, what do you want to emit energetically, illumination wise? And there was this period of death through the whole 12 months, just fucking death. And it developed a new death itself went through an energetic transformation, right?
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like letting go of the identity. And we've talked about all this. We all talk about this all these years, but it was like really like, I think purification is the right word
Mhm.
because it burned. And, but now, if you think about what happens after this theoretical transformation of the last 12 months that fell on Morgan Lee and Alisha Brache's birthday and ends on it, what's on the other side of that? Well, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, which is, what are you going to do to me? I'm not putting up with this. If you're going to kill me, you know, I mean, I'm not saying to speak that extreme, but like, oh, you're going to take my rights away? Well, no, you're not, because I'm still going out my door. Oh, you
Yeah.
want me to get a pass? No, I'm not. I'm just not going to do it. I refuse to participate. That comes from, in my opinion, the energetics, the characteristics of, say, the energetics of death having been transformed into
Mhm.
what it
Because you
isn't.
lose all fear through the
Yeah, what
death
it, yeah,
process. Yeah.
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 But again, there's pockets, and I think about this too, like you were talking about. There's that you said that the experience is going to be basically different for everybody, but there are going to be certain soul groups and families and connections that come together and
Mm.
have the same experience, almost like they're in a bubble, impervious to everything out there.
Mhm.
Because if you look at the video I was talking about last night, there's a lot of stories in there. There's a lot of stories of star family. There's a lot of stories of civilizations and species and earth beings and the involvements and the collaboration. But at the end of the day, they're just as much a part of this as everything, and they're choosing their arena or their theater. We're
Mm.
choosing our theater,
Mm.
and there isn't a right or wrong. It's just, I don't want to be over there. I want to be here. I want to be in this space with, you know,
Mm.
Morgan and my
I
friends. You
Yeah. I mean, so many of us have found each other again, and I think
know,
so many of us are such ancient souls
I
and
know.
have been on Earth for a long time,
Yes,
and seen
yes,
the changes. So of course we want to stay here
yeah.
and experience what has never been experienced before. I don't believe
I
in
don't.
this exact way.
I don't believe it has either. And I got last night again this specialness creeping
Mm.
in. I got
Mm.
it clear last night, you know,
Mm.
and I'm just sharing my own experience because it kind of aligns with what you're saying. And if it's happening to me, and it's happening to a lot of people, which was, there's some masters
Mm.
walking this earth, and they're coming into the knowing that they are, and
Yeah.
getting beyond the human doubts, and et cetera, and having more confidence. And again, it's such an innate thing and
Mm.
organic to your word thing, that it just, no matter how I look at it, it's the mother energy
Yeah.
taking form
Mm. Mhm.
in form. Yeah, like
Mm.
it's,
Mm.
I don't even have a word for that energy. It's
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
That's pretty wild.
It's magnificent.
Yeah, it's pretty
There's
wild.
not, I'm feeling it. I don't have words
I
for it.
know. Yeah.
Mm.
And like this thing about whether it's Morgan and I or other soul fan, whatever, the physical, like there's a part of me that knows, period. I've known, and I can't explain it.
Mm.
It's, you could say, destined. It's going down, but it's not about two people. It's about that force that you're talking about.
Mm.
I mean, think, because the higher you go in dimensional experience, or in dimension,
Mm.
the quicker your thought materializes.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had the slowest, densest, takes forever environment, and we're fusing that with the other extreme like no one else can, because they haven't walked in our shoes.
Exactly. 100%. Wow.
Somebody said ineffable. Ineffable. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm even familiar with that word.
I think it just means fucking awesome. I don't know. Excuse my French. Uh, Yeah, I
Well,
feel like, yeah. What
take
were you
that
gonna
in.
say? Yeah.
I know we've been talking about it for a long time, but this year about the joining together in the physical feels very important. And I'm actually having a small soul fam gathering this weekend.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
How
And
many
it
how
will
many people will be there?
maybe somewhere between maybe roughly 20 people.
That's pretty
Um,
good. That's powerful. That's really
yeah,
powerful.
some are flying from interstate. So, um, and I haven't celebrated my birthday. Like, I've had pretty horrendous birthdays, I'll be honest.
That's this weekend?
Mm, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And there's something really powerful and potent about that. And then I find out that my other soul sister, who I call, her name's Alicia, I call her a fractal of me. She lives in Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
and it's her birthday, and I think around the 16th. She got the download to do a soul fam gathering for her birthday in Cancun. I haven't checked in with her to see how her plans are going, but sometime in March, and she was pulling people in from the States and all sorts of places. And I was like, huh, once again, we're synced up. We're getting the download that we have to pull very specific people in to the same geographical location, for a couple of hours, and that amplification of that energy,
It's a power. It's a power up.
it's a power up.
Yeah, it's a power up, and even these, you hear about people, particularly women. And I'm not knocking us men. I'm just saying it's mostly
Mm,
where they meet on Zoom
mm,
and power up.
mm,
That's a lot of what I call the 13 grandmother energy. Like that's a
mm,
lot of
mm,
powerful, more confident,
mm,
safe,
mm,
shared. Like that's a
mm,
lot of ancient, numerous human lives,
mm,
ancient sacred wisdom coming
mm,
together consciously.
mm,
That's what I'm talking about.
mm,
We're not going to see this force like you see other forces, like something got invaded or a virus was let loose or a rule
mm,
was made, or this is not like that. This is a bunch of that going on
mm.
that's starting to go on by the people, the women primarily, again, that have been doing it by themselves, thinking they were crazy for 20 years.
You're right.
So now it's, yeah, I mean, this is like
Mm,
fearless. This is
mm,
what I'm talking about. Like,
mm,
how does that look?
mm,
What is that going to look like? I love this part. My friend Hung Nguyen, she came on and,
mm.
okay, hang on a second. But she came on like this would have been like November, and she's like, "What's going on here? I'm a warrior and all this, and all I want to do is be a peacekeeper now. Like it's not
Yeah.
intermittent." She's like, "What's going on with me?" Right? Hmm. Let's see.
Yeah, I've
Try.
noticed that softening in my warrioress friends, this softening, this love energy that it's transforming them in their roles and what their role has been and important, and then changing.
I'm trying to. Sorry about that. I heard what you said.
Mm,
No, I don't want to let you go yet. You got to hang on
I'm
for a
good.
second.
I'm doing you know what? I couldn't think of a better thing to do on my birthday than sit and hang out with you. So when I saw the option of the 10th, I was like, that's what I'm doing for my birthday.
Well, the crazy thing was, she was trying, because we were a day apart, so she was trying to like create space, which it worked out fine because like I'm off from now until she goes to bed on her birthday.
Mhm.
So it works out okay. But yeah, she's like, Alicia picked the 10th. I'm like, oh wow, and I had forgot it was your birthday. See, I can't remember anything. She's like, yeah, remember it's her birthday. She's got the same birthday I did. I'm like, what? And then it comes back to you a little bit. All right, I'm gonna try to see. She's actually trying to see if she can come on.
Oh,
That's why.
cool.
Yeah, I said you want to pop in on here. Oh, she might. She said, well, she's having a problem. I just told her to cut and paste to Google Chrome and see if she pops in. But yeah, I don't know. This is, and I think I actually saw we did a show like a year ago, like within 2 or 3 days. It was weird. I was like, man, Alicia's popping in. So I could already feel it coming. And so, like the story you have about the information that you got about February, you know, I I'm so, I don't know. I'm very conscious and very aware of the cycles, the energetic atmosphere that has a cyclical nature. So, what was going on a year ago? What was going on 10 years ago? And a lot
Yeah.
of this is in that block because that's when I kind of woke up. It was December 2011. So everything has been like, I'm like, okay, I respect what happened. I certainly don't want to do that again. We can try some of this, but like, so there's something non-linear about that message. And I'm using this as an example of how information's coming in and how it's being pieced together. There's something I know that's accurate, and it's not another timeline kind of thing. It's just letting go of the linear thing, and not thinking in those terms, because it could. That's the other thing too. All this could just snap, be like that. Be like, we've had him in the fire for too long. Let's turn the lights on. Dump some ice water on him. You know.
I love you sharing that, because that's how my brain or my consciousness works out things. I'm always calculating by cycles and dates, and looking at a year ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I use that as a coordination to navigate based on the past. How is that kind of determining possibilities into the future?
Yeah.
And what I realized was that this mad rush that I had to kind of nest and ground it. This is the first actual place that I can call home in 6 years. This is a big deal for me.
Wow. So you're basically in your womb, right? I mean, you're it's like genie in the bottle, right? I mean, it's like the womb. Yeah, and you mentioned this period of nesting, and I know you and Morgan and others from this time last year started talking about conception. A conception had occurred, and there's been even up, like I remember 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, there was a lot of talk about pregnancy and birthing energetically, and I know how where you're deeply invested in that, and yeah, and to me, I've felt like the frequency of hibernation, and it's not an excuse because sometimes I overeat. It's just like an energetic
Yeah.
fattening. It's an energetic fattening up
Mm-hmm.
at the end of this purity cycle, which I
Mm-hmm.
feel is done. You know, this
Mm-hmm.
222 thing, and now we're going to find out why we
Mm-hmm.
had to be purified, why we need to hold the light up, and what are we contending with, so to speak? Because our humans still going, okay, what's going on? What kind of fuckery is going on? Yeah.
Can't help yourself. I'm like you. I have to kind of just peer my head in all the different realms just to kind of get a grasp of all the different realities that are playing out simultaneously.
I know.
I can't help myself, but I know when to pull back now, and that's a good thing. I don't get lost.
I just want to be in Australia, even though I'm pursuing the other avenue. But I'm just saying, and I'm saying that not because, like, all of us had these urgings, these nudges, and like I think you were just saying it. Was it you were saying it? You get the direction to go do this or go do that, and you don't want to do it, but you got to go do it. That whole thing. And it's like the urgings, like everything's coming into alignment, like the dreams coming into alignment with the feel or with the omens or the synchronicity. Somebody mentioned that earlier, you know, like even like interacting with you, it's deepening something that's already there, right? It's like that, which is, you know, I'm calling the mother universe, but It's whatever that is. It's the umbilical cord. I don't know what you want to call it. It's just
I
like
actually
this.
just saw that. It was like an elastic band, and it was like pulled back, and then
What? Umbilical? It was like umbilical?
yeah. Well, it was like this cord that got pulled back like a
Yeah.
slingshot, and then this kind of fast-paced motion. That's you
Yeah.
being propelled into Australia, right?
Like
You
a
just
sling, like a
flying through
slingshot.
the air. Yeah, yeah.
No, but I'm just saying, like I don't know about everybody else, but okay, you just got your place for the first time in 6 years.
Mhm.
That's probably an indicator of the way everything else is falling into alignment. That's what I'm trying to say. And
Yeah.
the they say lead with the heart. I'm not even like trying to lead with the heart. It's just leading, right? It's like it's that thing that you saw, right? It's just going, "Ooh, you were going this way." And oh well, what about this? And what about that obstacle? And they're like, "Hey, fuck that. We're going. Boom. This is who you are." But it feels um it gives like a new deeper connotation to awareness or awakening.
Yeah.
It's got more of a doing thing going with it. Yeah.
Mm.
It's good seeing you. I appreciate you coming
Always,
on.
always
On your
good to see.
birthday. Happy birthday.
So
Happy
when you
birthday.
come here,
Yeah.
obviously you'll go straight to Morgan first, but when you and Morgan want to venture to Melbourne, now I actually have a spare room.
Oh wow. Well, whatever presents itself, it might be through the US first but
Mm.
I don't see how whether it's due to us doing our eternal internal work or whatever the grand plan, whatever, um, I don't see how these constructs can stay up. They've printed 40% of the money that the U.S. has ever printed
Mm.
in the last 12 months, and that's just one of many things, right? Like,
Mm.
um, the I don't want to say defiance, but the conviction of these people that you're talking about. They're saying no more. I'm not going to do it. That's it.
Mm.
If we learned anything, it's the energetic that creates, right? So you
Mm.
have all these people hitting the same kind of, yeah, what's this fuckery? Wait a minute, I'm gonna take care of
Well,
myself. The
I
self love
think,
and all that, you
mm,
know.
I mean, a lot of people recently got very outraged here about, the Australian government sending $70 million to the Ukraine, but they
Yeah,
couldn't help their people who lost everything through the floods,
dude, I know.
right?
Whoa,
You
like
know?
I saw some of that. I saw somebody saying that's what I mean. If you look at the comments, and you have to really
Mm.
maybe have a little because you got to discern. You can't believe
Mm.
everything you see,
Of
but
course. Yeah, of
I
course.
look at the comments of the people, and you can tell when somebody's like paid to go Scott Morrison or go COVID or but I saw more than one last night, and it was because Morgan sends me different things, and I like to read the comments, and a couple of them were right on, spot on. They were like,
Mm.
oh, you can move like
Mm.
this,
Mm.
when it's
Mm.
a COVID thing, but it takes 2.5 weeks for you to
Mm.
get people food, right?
Mm.
Like, what the hell's going on here? So
It's
that,
so
you know,
it's so layered, um, from my perspective, Todd. Like one thing, I mean, there's the horrible things that in terms of the government lack of response. There's that component to it. Then there's the
yeah,
component of the communities coming together
I
and the
know,
amazing things that
yeah,
are happening there based on
yeah,
community where we don't need you, government. We've got this. But then there's also the energetics of the sacredness of the land,
yeah,
because I believe that there is ley lines and energy that run from around that area that's very Lemurian. It
yeah,
has a lot of Lemurian.
definitely,
And I was speaking to a friend of mine this morning, and he was telling me that one of the Indigenous elders up there told his brother, who his brother lives up there, said that this is the prophecy, of the change of however they name it in their culture. This is the prophecy because when the First Nations people they got kicked off the land in those areas. No, sorry, that they were on the coast and then they got pushed back inland. And they said when the time comes that the world will change and go through, this, they would get moved again back to the coast. And that's kind of that's what they're seeing now. So there's all these different prophecies through different cultures, through different schools of thought, and it's all happening right now.
Yeah. No, it's not a coincidence, but I saw in the last couple of days the same account from an Indian tribe of the southwestern United States, like Arizona, New Mexico area. And it was the same thing. It was a chief. It was a video. And it was a chief, and it was a recent video, and he was just saying, hey, this is what we were told. And it's very much the same thing that you're talking about, where nature, I don't know. It's almost like a correction. I don't know. Not a correction, but like an equilibrium, like things going back to where they need to go kind of thing. Let's see. Let me see something. Oh, okay. God, there was one other thing I was going to ask you about. I think the gathering thing, be it online or locally, is a very powerful thing, especially because I know it's been happening, and I've heard some people talking about it, women, and I think that's a very powerful thing, to come together in the spirit of the grandmothers, where you're not coming with an agenda. You're actually coming in the Trinity energy of serving self, the other, and the collective in one equal intention, right? That's a sonic, cosmic, nuclear steroid boom into the ethers. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I think
Go ahead.
I think one of my intentions, because I think it's going to be quite a powerful activation, just being in the presence of each other, not even consciously,
Yeah.
And I think one of the intentions that I will probably set in advance is that, having this gathering of beautiful, ancient, absolutely magnificent souls coming together and just sharing space together is creating a template for what will continue to occur in pockets around the world.
Yeah.
Moving forward for all
Well,
soul fam.
I think you hit it when you said things are being done in the physical, like two people making a physical reunion happen, or but things are being done in the physical that are literally going to create the openings for other people to do it, which is what happens in the energetic field too. But I mean, I just my whole thing is the speed. Like I can feel it though. I can feel how quick things are happening, and they don't seem to be slowing down. So like it's snap, it's done. It's just, I was telling us yesterday on the show, I was doing some research about the Book of Enoch, and it wasn't about what was said, it was the chronology of it all. And the way it was written, basically, once they looked at it from a anthropologic standpoint, and everything that they put into it, that the day was 100 years, a week was 700 years. And I was just taking the information, and not from a linear standpoint, but like, okay, if my belief was this, and I experienced 100 days of information in a day, my whole experience changes, including my perception of what being apart is, right? Like, and I don't know, to me, like the time and space thing it's where we'll probably see it most, and start to go, oh, wow. And people start having experiences that we've had thinking we were crazy, right? And they'll be like, holy shit. And I think that's already happening.
It is, yeah,
Definitely.
in a big way.
Well, it's good seeing you. It's always good seeing you.
Always.
It's balancing, and it's nice to always, come together with, these deepening, already present connections. And you're right. There's a lot of ancient reconnections occurring. But I always love getting together with you. I love you, and I appreciate what you're doing. And I'll
I
see you
love you too,
again.
Todd.
I'll see you again when we can do this again. And I'll see you in time physically.
I know. I'm excited.
That's right. They're gonna have to kill. They'll have to kill me. All right. Take care.
Mwah.